Hi everyone, Noah Polipsky coming to you today from Gulf Shores, Alabama, where I'm in a nature preserve. They have these beautiful little lookouts where you can look into the nature and see the creatures and see the birds, and just a beautiful place, about a quarter mile from the ocean or from the Gulf. And just a beautiful, beautiful setting here. I took a bike ride, about a half an hour bike ride to get here. And I just wanted to come and talk to you today. And we haven't talked in a while, and share with you some of my insights that have been going on with me. And something that really, really is affecting me lately is my understanding of how the mind develops in different areas at different times. So for instance, when we feel fear or we feel pain, physical or emotional, let's say you have a task that you need to do and you're afraid to do it. You've built up this fear. Let's say it's public speaking, and you've built up this fear of public speaking. Well, you may intellectually know that I shouldn't be afraid, and I can do this, and I have all the ability, and da 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 da. But there's a part of you, an underdeveloped part, that is at its base afraid. And when you get in front of that audience, you're going to feel fear. And you can use this for anything: job interview, first date, whatever it is. When I started to question the other day, I started to say, well, what if instead of trying to power through that fear and fighting it, because that's what it is, right? You feel that fear and you're like, no, I just push through because I can do this, And we're always in this state of resistance. So instead, what I came up with was I said, well, what if instead of fighting that fear, I spoke to that fear? And what does that mean, to speak to the fear? Well, I realized that if something is underdeveloped or something is in a state of frightenedness, I thought of it like a little child. And how would you speak to a little child? Well, I broke the brain up into compartments, right? I said, okay, let's face this fear. For me, it was a fear of physical pain. It was the physical pain of stretching. So I would feel the stretch and I would be very, very tight. And I said to my brain, I said, now, brain, do you feel that tightness? Are you aware of it? Are you aware of that physical pain? So instead of me trying to stretch you and push further each day, I'm just going to say, is that fear, is that tightness, is that tension, is that helping us to grow in life? Is that helping us? Is that allowing us to become our full potential? Because our full potential is the ability to move all directions without pain. Because when we're in pain, we're stuck. We can't move. When we're afraid, we can't move. So I started asking the brain this, and I started talking to it very calmly and saying, instead of me pushing to stretch physically, I'm going to get to the point where I feel a little bit of tension, a little bit of pain, just a little. I'm going to make you aware of it. And we're going to discuss that pain. And we're going to see if you feel comfortable enough to trust me, the other side, the analytical side of the mind, to let go, to become trusting in me, that I won't push all of a sudden. I will wait for you to relax. And within 5, 10, 15 seconds, all of a sudden, the brain just relaxed. The body just relaxed. That muscle became loose. And I was able to move to a whole new different spot in my stretching. And I'll show a little clip, show you how far I was able to go in just a short amount of time. Just a few days, I was doing stretches that I could never do before. Couldn't do this a week ago, couldn't get close. Took me a week, and now first try. The brain trusts itself. And so this started to get me really exploring our connection with our mind and our development, how we've developed. Most of us develop the ego, the intellect, very quickly, right? We get very quick and very smart, and we understand how things work, but our emotional, our fear-based side, the animalistic or the what do they call it, reptilian brain, is very underdeveloped. So we have to teach it. And most of us didn't grow up with parents that were more developed than us. They were usually we kind of reflect how our upbringing was. So I realized really quickly that There were a lot of limitations in my upbringing that didn't allow me to really grow that fear side and to understand where fear comes from and is it helpful or is it actually slowing our progress. And when you start to teach the mind in a gentle, childlike way and say, oh, look, you have a fear of speaking in public? Okay, is that going to help us? Is that something we should be afraid of? What are we actually afraid of? And you start to find that fear is comfort to the brain because it knows fear. Even though it scares it, it knows what it produces. Where having no fear, it doesn't know that. It becomes unknown. And the unknown is even more fearful. It's even more afraid of the unknown than it is of the known and that pain. So I started pointing this out to the mind. I started teaching it day after day for a few days in a row, saying, look, we don't have to be afraid of this. We can let go of that. We carry this around because we know it, but the unknown is where our real potential lies. Our real potential is when we're free of fear. Then we can move in all directions. And you start talking to the mind in that calm way to where it starts to actually learn. That side of the mind, if you'll give it time, it will learn to let go of those fears. So when you get in front of those people, you get in that situation, you're not fighting fear. You're explaining it. You're standing there about to go on and you say, now look, brain, we can be totally scared and frightened, and we can be like this, and we can give a poor speech and not know what to say, or we can relax. We can let go of that fear and see what happens. Because like I showed the mind and the body when I started doing my stretchings, once it let go of the tightness, we started moving in all these new positions, right? And then the brain was like, oh, this is kind of cool, actually. The thing I was really afraid of really didn't happen. I really shouldn't be afraid of it. And so it's the same thing. So it's the same thing when it comes to anything in life that we have fear of, right? We can talk to the mind and teach it how to develop, how to expand its ability beyond fear. Because fear is the thing that really holds us back from growing as an individual, right? Because when we have fear or we have pain, we can't move. We're stuck in that spot. So once we teach the mind that it's able to move beyond fear and pain, whether physical pain or mental fear, then all of a sudden we become limitless. We're able to do things we couldn't even imagine before. Like I didn't think I would be able to do splits and all those different things. I'm seeing now that when the mind is free, there are no limitations. The only limitation is the physical ability to move the body in a direction. You can only go so far before the bone breaks. But it's not because my body is tight, and it's not because my mind is afraid. It's just because I have a physical limitation. I can only go so far. But it's not because there's any tension. And it's helped me in all these different ways of dealing with other people. When I start to see people resist what I'm saying, I used to get very almost angry in a way because I was like, it's so simple what I'm saying, why can't you grasp it? And I realize now that part of their mind that I might be challenging is fearful. It's saying, I hear what he's saying, but it would just screw up everything in my life. I just can't move that way. And now I'm starting to understand that they're just not developed in that part of the mind yet. They haven't been exposed to being gentle to the mind. Because most of us are always in resistance to the mind. If the mind says we can't do something, no, I'm going to do it. It's like when we're running. Let's say we're going for a run. We're getting tired. We're like, I got to push through. I got to push through. That's going to be in resistance to what the body is telling you. Instead, slow down and say, hey, body, mind, I don't want to force you, but I would like to continue this run. Can you find it in you to let go of that fear of not finishing and push further? That's something I found when I was stretching. I got to a point in one of my stretches that I'd never been to before. I was so stretched out, and my heart started racing because my mind was afraid. It said, we've never been here before. This is new territory. What are we going to do? And I stopped, and I said, hey, this is the unknown. There's nothing to be afraid of here. We've done it. We're not in pain. We don't need to be scared. This is what our limitless potential offers us. It offers us these new movements. Should we be afraid? And I posed it in the form of a question. And immediately my heart slowed down. And 5 seconds later, I went even further into that stretch. So I hope this talk helped you. I hope you're going to see more of my stretching videos along the way, so we can start to show you how you can start with the physical to let go of fear and then grow into the mental, because it's a great starting point. It's a little hard throwing yourself into a public speaking thing to learn about fear. It's much easier to learn fear and pain through the physical act of stretching and learning where your pain, where you carry it, where you hold your tension, and starting to let those things go. Because a mind that is tension-free, pain-free, and fearless can do anything. And that's what I want for all of us. That's what I want for myself. And I hope you enjoyed this talk. And until the next time, peace.